Hi everyone. So today in multiplication, we're going to discuss arrays. Okay, arrays are very, very closely connected to multiplication, and we're going to learn all about that right now. Okay, so this is an array. These 9 green boxes, all of them together make up an array because in this array we have rows and we have columns. Okay, rows go across, so they go right to left, and columns go up and down. Okay, so here's my question for you now that we know that. How many rows are in this array? How many rows? How many lines of green boxes are there that go from left to right? How many are there? Well, let's count. There's one, two, three. So we can fill in that question mark and we can write there are 3 rows. Right now, columns go up and down. So how many columns are there? Let you think about it for a second. Let's count them. There's 1, 2, 3 columns. All right, so we can fill that in. Okay, now, how do we make this connected to multiplication? Well, if you look over here, this is how you figure out a multiplication sentence based on an array. First, you have to ask yourself how many rows, which we already know the answer to. The answer was 3. And how many columns? We also already figured that out. The answer to that was 3. Then, once you know how many columns and how many rows, you multiply those two numbers together to form a multiplication sentence. So our multiplication sentence would be 3 times 3. By the way, what would it equal? That's right, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we do know, we've talked about this before, 3 times 3 is 9. Okay? Good job. Here is your first slide that you're going to have to answer some questions on. I did leave these reminders here for you as a help, and I also did the first one for you, okay? So over here, to figure out our multiplication sentence, we have to ask ourselves how many rows? Well, there are 2 rows. And how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 columns. Then we multiply those two numbers together, 2 times 7. And that's how I got 2 times 7. So you have to do the same exact thing, follow these instructions for each problem. Okay? This you have to create your own. All right? So all I did was I dragged dots to make this. So I asked myself, how many rows do I have to make? Well, it says 2 times 3. So 2 rows, I made 2 rows and then 3 columns. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this time it's a little bit different. You have to make the array. You have to make it so the first number is the rows, 2 rows, and 3 columns. Or the other way around. It actually doesn't matter. You could have done three rows and 2 columns, but I did 3 columns and 2 rows. Okay, and then the next one is going to ask you, what multiplication sentence does this array show? You're going to have to figure that out by counting the rows and the columns and then multiplying them together. And then it's going to ask you, how do you know? And you're going to have to explain how I had this many rows and this many columns, and that's how I figured out the multiplication sentence. We've done things like this before. Okay, you guys, good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.